This episode is sponsored by two amazing companies. First, we have 99 Designs. Listen, if you're looking for a new business card, a new logo, a new website, something for marketing, whatever. If you need graphic arts, if you need something created, if you need something taken from your mind, your thought process, and created on paper, in print, on the internet, these guys know how to get it done for you, and they give you a ton of options to choose from. Guys, super endorsed by Tim Ferriss. 99 Designs, check them out. Go to davidihill.com. davidihill.com, click on the affiliates link, and you'll see 99 Designs, and just click the link and check them out. The other one is Land Voice. If 2017, part of your goal is prospecting, then you need to check these guys out. They have access to the For Sale by Owner for you, expired listings, circle prospecting, giving you all the phone numbers you need to make those prospecting calls. So check out Land Voice. Same thing. Go to my site, davidihill.com, affiliates, and you just click on the Land Voice link, and you can see all the specials they've got. They've got like $30 a month specials going on right now. You can try their service out. No contract, $30. If you love it, you keep going. If you don't, you stop. You just can't beat it. So, guys, check out our sponsors, all right, and enjoy.
Get ready for one more sale, inspiring you with ideas through powerful and engaging interviews with top performers of their field. Now, join us as we discuss techniques and strategies of the coolest and most successful people on the planet.
Hey Masters, it's David Hill with another episode of Path to Mastery, episode, my friends, number 46, and I'm bringing back my good friend Jairek Robbins. You guys may have remembered him from one of my first interviews. Guys, Jairek is out there killing it. He's living a big life. He's an author. He's got his book, Live It. He owns a coaching company. He's teaching people. He's doing presenting. He's training other coaches. He's just helping people lead bigger lives, my friends. And he talks to us just about living a bigger lives ourselves, and you know, those limiting beliefs and those things that hold us back and influence us, and you know, how we need to get around bigger thinkers and let go of those limiting thoughts. And I don't know about you, I'm embarrassed to say it, but sometimes I still let those things that I dragged with me from my childhood sometimes affect my thoughts and my outcomes in life. So, you know, hey, this was an awesome interview for me. And listen, guys, he talks to us about sometimes we have to defend our happiness, right? And then obviously building a strategic plan. And it's not just about acting bigger. I mean, it's about thinking bigger and being bigger. So, hey, this is an awesome interview. I really hope you enjoyed it. I got a ton from it, and it's powerful, and it goes deep. And hey, you know, I ask every time, if you enjoy the interviews and you enjoy the podcast, please just go. It really helps if you subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, and then every time an interview comes out, you don't even have to think about it. It just will show up in your inbox, and then you get to listen to it and share it. So hey, again, I so appreciate you. If there's anything that you're looking for, interview ideas, feedback, I'd love to hear it. Listen, you rock. Enjoy. All right, Masters. Hey, it's David Hill with another episode of Path to Mastery. And as always, you know, we're bringing you the best of the best. My friend, personal development expert, just a rock star, talented, brilliant person, my friend Jairek Robbins. Hey, Jairek, what's going on, man?
Thank you for having me, and thank you for those kind words. I always appreciate them.
Yeah, man, definitely. I appreciate you coming back. I think you're the first person now I've done with 2 interviews with, because you were one of my first, 48 interviews ago. So thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So I know you got some really great things going on. We're going into 2017. So I know what initially created this was I saw one of your posts on Facebook about, you know, getting ready for the new year and goal planning and all that great stuff. And, you know, I was talking to one of my friends, you know, some of my buddies, and people email me and they say, hey, this is who I want you to interview, and here are some of the questions I want you to ask, and all that good stuff. And somebody had said, hey, you know, when you're talking to Jairek, I want you to ask him, I mean, because obviously, it's, you know, Tony's your dad, Tony Robbins. I think everybody knows that. What is it like to have Tony Robbins as a dad? And I'm like, you know, I've known this guy since 2010. I've never asked that question. So I want to ask you that. Like, tell us about that, Jairek.
Sure. The simplest response I'll give you is, what's it like to have your dad as your dad?
Okay, got it.
And the response is usually, I don't know. It's the only one I have.
Okay.
And so the truth is, for most people, and I always throw that out there, not to be contradictory or interrupt them. I'm just saying, hey, the difference of knowing what your dad is like compared to all other dads is generally you don't know the difference between your dad and other dads because you've only had your dad. And you can contrast of what your friend's dad was like, but they were never your dad. So you didn't understand what it was like for them to be your father in that situation. It's just one of those areas that's very difficult to compare because there's nothing to compare it to. A stepdad is awesome. They're wonderful. I have one. At the same time, it's not my dad. Same thing as a stepmom. Like, stepmom's great, awesome, wonderful human being. She can mother me and give me good instincts and insights and stuff like that. Not my mom. Just a different relationship that exists there. And so the God honest truth is I don't know any different. I don't know the difference between him and 5 other dads. Now, if you gave me one of them and made them my biological father for the next 5 years, I might be able to contrast it and tell you the difference. But the truth is I don't know what that difference is. He's a wonderful man. He's a dedicated man. He's everything that people know him to be on stage and out in the public. He's passionate and driven, and he has a huge heart, makes a valuable, lasting impact in millions of people's lives around the world, and he's done a hell of a job at it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, I mean, I grew up in a completely different end of the spectrum. My father was naughty, he was an alcoholic, and it was a lot of challenges in my childhood growing up. And it's no secret. A lot of people know that. You know, we come from living in a car and all kinds of the other end of the spectrum, but yet it was still able to achieve a high level of success. And I'm still on a much further trajectory and path. But I think because of that upbringing, I was limited as I was younger in some of the things that I knew and opportunities. So I think when someone asks that question, Jairek, it's more along the lines of, with that positive influence around you, is that, I mean, because you're super successful, you're doing huge things in the world. Do you think that contributes to that? Is it part of it? Were you influenced by it? I guess those are some of the questions that people have.
Got it. So the truth is, and if you look back at that situation, the gifts in the moment that most people look as challenges or not cool. You know, I have a friend who grew up in a very abusive household where his mom would drink until the point where she got to a point where you knew it was time, and he would grab his little brother and sprint for the bathroom because it was the only door in the house that had a lock on it, and you could lock yourself in there and withstand the storm of mom that was about to happen. And if you didn't make it, or the worst, you know, she got the broomstick between the door and the wall before you closed it and locked it. Oh boy, you were in trouble because she was coming with a hanger and she was going to make you red. And that's how he grew up. And so what's wild though is when he looks back at that, he looks at it as most people would say, oh my God, how horrific. What a horrible situation to be in. I would never wish that on anybody. But if you ask him, at one point he did believe that it was the worst thing that ever happened to him. And now he's a wildly successful human being in life. And he looks back and he says, you know, if I didn't grow up with that, I probably wouldn't have the drive to work as hard as I do today to make a different life for myself and my family. And the truth is that horrible situation really truly was the greatest gift that could have been given at that moment of life for my DNA, for my moment, for my time, that inspired me to really go for it. And the truth is, growing up in my situation, I had, you know, I always say the best of both worlds, where I grew up with my mom. My dad was building his career at the time. You know, he wasn't who he is today. And today he's an absolute rock star and superstar. And he's always been that as a person. He just wasn't there business or financially when I was a kid. He was still trying to build the empire he has, and he was in the process of doing it. Therefore, I grew up 90% of the time with my mom. And with my mom, I have a huge Hispanic family on that side. I think I've got like 20 or 30 cousins all together. And we got that giant family reunion that happens every now and then, and it's fun and wonderful. And in that large of a family, you have the variety of every type of life situation you could imagine. I had an uncle at one point who had many, many, many highs and had a couple lows. And those lows were times when my mom and I used to drive, and you know, he was parked out front living in the car in front of Circle K, and we'd drop him off McDonald's for lunch. And I'd be like, well, why does Aunt and Uncle live in the car? And it's like, well, they made some decisions and they landed up in a circumstance and now they're here. And this is what happens when you make those decisions. And it's like, ugh. And then, you know, also had times where we wanted extra spending money. And one thing I love about my mom is if you wanted something, you just find a way to get it. And we wanted more spending money to go to Disneyland and do fun stuff. So my mom would go take a sales job selling like graders and sham wows and stuff like that at a swap meet on the weekends. And I'd be behind the booth with her, and she'd be, selling the tar out of these sham wows, and we'd make a couple $1,000 that weekend and then get to go have fun at Disneyland the next week or do something fun. And so I was constantly shown multiple ways to go about producing the life you want, whether it was through consistent, absolute dedication and focus with dad of constantly chasing that dream and goal and never veering off the path and always staying consistent on it, whether it was mom saying, hey, you could choose all kinds of routes to get to your goal. You can, you work your normal job, work your side job, work the weekend job. Like there's a million things you could do to get to that path, and you just do whatever it takes to get there. My grandma, we've talked about her before. She's been a top producer in the insurance space for, 30 years, 40 years now. And still to this day, I just talked to her the other day, she's still going to earn over $250,000 in personal commissions this year. She made the $1 million round table, which is their highest, level of achievement as far as insurance sales goes. And she's still kicking butt at life. And so to have all those multiple opportunities to see the good, to also see the bad. I have an aunt who at this moment in life chooses to be homeless to an extent. And it doesn't mean she lives out on the streets. She lives in homeless shelters. She goes camping. She barters and, works for some people in the summer, and they have as a guest room at the house she stays in. But she chooses not to have a home of her own. She's constantly kind of just moving city to city to city. And that's how she chooses to live. But when I knew her as a kid, she was raising my 6 cousins of her children and living on this giant ranch in Kentucky. So it's just life choices, and getting to see a variety of those and a whole spectrum of what's possible, I think really truly gave me the footing I have today, because constantly getting to peer into other people's worlds and see the choices they make, the results they get, and the life they choose to live gave me perspective. Now, one thing that's fun that dad offered and many other people offer in the world. I mean, my wife and I joined a program last year called Jet Smarter, which is totally cool. If you're not joined yet, you have to.
Jet Smarter?
Jet Smarter. It's basically you pay $15,000 for the first year, and it gets you unlimited flights on private jets for the year. And they have 2 different tiers. I won't go into the whole picture, but it's pretty freaking cool.
Awesome.
So we joined it, and we're flying on private jets all over the world now, which is awesome. A little out of our normal budget, but hey, to get that price point, because these things usually cost about anywhere between $6,000 to $12,000 an hour to fly on. So you take a 2-hour flight, it's $24,000 one way. So that's out of our current budget right now. But if you pay $15,000 for the year and you get to fly on them from, South Florida to New York to Boston, Boston back to New York to Chicago, New York to LA to San Francisco, everywhere. They have it all over the world now. It's cool. And so we joined it, and hanging out with the people on board. These are the people who pay $24,000 to go one way on a plane for 2 hours, and listening to their psychology, listening to who they are, listening to how they show up, and watching what they do. I watched 2 guys, sell each other a freaking Rolls Royce on one flight, and I was scratching my head. I'm like, did they really just, exchange $500,000 in value over a handshake and a text message on the plane? It was amazing.
I love that. And I just want to jump in for a second. I mean, because you do a podcast as well, and what you're talking about right now is being able to get in conversations and be around these types of people, right? Like I interviewed Brian Tracy a couple weeks ago. I get to interview you, Tom Hopkins, all these best-selling authors and people like that. So when you get to see part of their life, it shows you what else is out there. Is that what you're talking about? Something like that?
Absolutely. So who you surround yourself is who you become to some extent. So there's some traits of these people I would not necessarily want to become or pick up, but there's other things like thinking big that certainly expanded. Where I'm sitting next to these guys, they're making $500,000 transactions over a handshake and a text message on the plane. Not only that, the next guy I sit next to is a gentleman who wrote the textbook for spinal surgery and was the fellowship professor for the Spinal Research Center at Penn. And it's like, wow, when the heck do you have a chance to just shoot the shit with that guy for 2 hours on our way to Vegas? And it's like the next guy comes on and he started a telecom company that is in Connecticut and Fort Lauderdale, and he has 152 employees, and they're doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And it's like, wow. And you just meet person after person after person. And the neatest part that I'm alluding to here is constantly surrounding yourself with people who are doing it big and doing it in such a big way that expands the possibility limits in your own mind to a place that they've never been before.
I love
Where
that.
I was thinking at the moment of like, wow, $15,000, that's a big amount. Like, I don't know. Is it smart? Is it not? Are we really going to use it? Are we going to get the money out of it? And then on the reverse side, this guy's like, 500 grand, no problem. Here, give me 2 of those, Bentleys. It's like, geez. And it just causes you to think differently.
It causes you to think bigger. And I love that we're having this conversation, because I had a conversation similar to this with somebody earlier that, is they're half in real estate and they're half in another business. And they say, well, I'm doing pretty well because I'm making $80,000 and I'm not sure I want to give that up. Where, if the guy went into real estate, the income potential is unlimited, really. But what I'm getting to is, like, you're talking about leasing jet space or whatever it is, Jet Smarter. Man, I couldn't even comprehend something like that 10 years ago because of my upbringing, because it wouldn't have made sense to me. Like, something like that wasn't something that was possible. And there's a lot of people probably listening to this interview that are in the same mindset. So, like where I grew up, right? I mean, and what you talked about is the influence. Like, you had your father, you had your grandmother, you had your mother. Sometimes I get to go up and I get to spend time with my grandparents here in Massachusetts. That's how I ended up in Massachusetts. We were actually from New York. That was the normalcy I saw, and that was the kindness and the things like that. So I'm lucky that I had that influence in my life. But what would you say to a person, Jairek, that's kind of, they're stuck in that place, or they're not really sure how to break through that or get rid, because, right, those things we carry with us. I mean, this conversation is a deep mindset conversation now, but like, how do we get rid of those things that hurt us, that hinder us in life, that we carry from our childhoods and things like that?
There's so many ways, so many ways. One of my favorite is the simplest. It's called The Work by Byron Katie. And it's identifying whatever the thought or belief or feeling or emotion or the thing is that you're holding on to, that you're not forgiving, that you're not letting go of, that you think in some way, shape, or form is limiting you or keeping you from moving forward. And whatever that is, once you can put your thumb on the pulse of it and identify what it is, she has a very simple set of questions of how to actually turn it around and get rid of it and let it go. And the piece of not forgiving or not letting it go, it's wild. I was doing a training on it for a corporate client that we train for a couple times a week. They've hired us to come in and train all their people. And we were doing a training this morning on forgiveness, believe it or not. And what's wild about it is, not forgiving or still choosing to be upset about something that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, a lifetime ago, whenever. The truth is, it's like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. It's allowing that thought, allowing that emotion, allowing that feeling to live rent-free in your mind, body, and soul and emotions without charging them anything for it. And the crazy part is, not only you're allowing it to stay there, but you're allowing it literally to take away the possibility of your life in the future while allowing it to stick around. Meaning, because it's that emotional poison, it literally is. When you have anger, frustration, resentment, anything like that from the past, it literally deteriorates your mental, emotional, and physical nervous system. It breaks down chemically your body and kills you little bits at a time. It's just a really slow process. So let's say you were going to live to 100, you spend 10 years in regret, you might have knocked it down to 95 and lost a few years of your life just because of the deterioration of your own nervous system and the cells of your body in that state of mind. And so the truth is, letting it go, as much as it's like, yeah, good for them, I'll forget about it, I'll let them slide. It's like, no, you're giving yourself years of your life back because you're choosing not to stay in that state, which is deteriorating the inside of your body. I mean, think about it. And it's expensive, not just expensive because you're missing out on the precious moments of life you could be having right now. Expensive, like chemotherapy is freaking expensive when you break down your nervous system so much so that you go get cancer and have to spend 6 months in chemo, puking your brains out and in pain like you've never had before, and spending more money than you've ever had to spend just to stay alive because you were pissed at someone who cut you off on the freeway 3 years ago. Come on, that ain't worth it. And so the bigger question I would take down for this person, if you're ever stuck there, is The Work by Byron Katie, if you want to look it up. And also the other question I'd layer in here is, how much is your happiness worth?
Yeah.
Meaning, what check do I have to stroke? How much do I have to pay you for you to give up your happiness for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
And for most people, we're like, oh, it's priceless. I would never give up my happiness. There's not a number in the world that's worth my happiness. Now, psychologically, we believe that cognitively in our brain. The problem is, someone cuts you off on the freeway and you get angry. You just sold them your happiness. They didn't have to pay you a dime. They just cut you off and you sold them your happiness. You gave it up.
Yeah.
You know, someone says something in your family, someone does something, a client, you know, refunds, something happens in your business, the deal doesn't close, whatever. And you give up your happiness for that? Are you joking? That ain't worth it. There's not an amount of zeros they can put on my happiness.
Yeah, get it.
It ain't worth the trade. But it's wild how fast people give up their damn happiness in return.
And I was going to say, I mean, I think two people are chasing happiness, and happiness is not like the destination, Jairek. The happiness is being alive right now, being on this podcast with you, experiencing this moment, being present. It's everything. It's not just like, okay, when Sunday when Christmas is here and I'm opening presents, I'm going to be happy. And I think a lot of people, that's how they live.
Exactly. So it's really figuring out, how do you get into the moment? So one way to heal that thought we were talking about is the work. Another way is to really defend your happiness at all price and say, listen, it's priceless. There's not a penny that can afford my happiness. And I'm not so willing to sell it to anybody for no reason, not for sale. And that means when someone tries to get you into a state other than happy or joyful or fulfilled, you don't sell it to them. Thank you. I'm not interested. I'm not buying.
Have you read the book, The Four Agreements?
Of course.
Yeah, phenomenal, right? And I think that's Absolutely. What you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Where the human, they say in the book, the human being, we're the people like, when something happens to us, we live it, we relive it over and over and over and over and over throughout our whole lives and like carry it with us.
Exactly. So that first way is the work. The next way is making that commitment to defend your happiness. The third way I would throw out there, aligned with what you just said, is really constantly filling your mind with the things that you do want in there. There's something called our mental spotlight. And according to researchers, it's the amount of information we can cognitively pay attention to at any one time, and everything else goes into just kind of the darkness or goes into our subconscious, meaning we can pay attention to it, but we're not thinking about it or able to focus on it. And so what's interesting with that, what you just said, filling your mind with great information like that book, like other materials, and filling it with so much good stuff that there's no room for any of the bad stuff that exists or once existed.
But how important is that too? Because like literally
vital.
I don't know. I'm trying not to swear because of some of the stuff I grew up with. It's like, it's so important. I have to do that every single day.
Absolutely.
Like
your life depends on it.
Yeah, it is. It really is like life-saving for me. If I don't surround myself with that, read that positive stuff, do my affirmations, do my meditation, it's vital. It's critical. Or it's like this weed farm will just blow up in my head.
Absolutely. And so that's the exact comment in response to that question. How important is it? Your life literally depends on it. The results you're going to achieve, who you're going to become, what you're going to experience, your future children's ability to experience the magnificence of life. Everything depends on your ability to consistently keep your mental spotlight flooded and overfilling, not just full, but overfilling with the goodness you want. And the other piece that will help with this is meaning. Because that person, what made the worst day of their life the best day of their life was the meaning they were able to associate it to it. And this comes from Viktor Frankl in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. The whole concept of the purpose behind what we do is a will to meaning. So finding purpose, finding meaning in who we are and what we do and why we're here. And so that concept of sitting down and saying, okay, I'm going to find a meaning to associate to whatever situation happened, good, bad, or indifferent, to allow it to support me and grow me and help me become the happiest, healthiest, and most fulfilled version of myself at all times.
You are listening to One More Sale.
So let's switch gears a little bit now, and I want to talk about, and we're coming into the new year, 2017. A lot of people now are sitting down and planning out their new year, or actually we should have done that. We started doing that in October, realistically, especially in the real estate business. What are you telling people now? Okay, I want to make 2017 my best year ever, whether it be life, relationship, business, whatever, health. What are you telling people?
Well, the truth is we've been going out and working with different clients and companies that have been bringing us in to help them set up their strategic plan for 2017. And their strategic plan, you want to start broad. What's your ultimate mission? What's your ultimate vision of what you're here to do ultimately on this planet? The way I always look at this is there's a term in Japanese. It's a really interesting term that's called, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it's ikagi or ikigi. I don't know how it's pronounced, but it basically means the reason for being. And so when you look at the ultimate purpose of what you're here for, And I'm talking way more than like, oh, I'm in real estate. Why? To sell houses and make money. I get it, but what are you really here for? And if you're going to plan out your life, you want to know the purpose, the deep, deep, profound meaning, the reason for being, and this thought process. So number one, the way you define this, there's 4 questions. The first is, what do you really love? What do you love? What would you pay to go do? What could you do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never ever get tired of it and think it's the coolest thing on earth? What things can you go do that when you do them, there's more life in your body? You are more alive at the end of the process going through it than at the beginning when you started. What do you love to do? Number 2, what are you actually good at? Because there's some people who love to do stuff like singing who suck at it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Keep doing it. Please, not near me. But that thought process, there's nothing wrong if you're not good at it. But what do you love to do and what are you actually good at? Or what are you willing to work hard enough at that you can become outstanding at it? You can become great at it. And a lot of people say, I posted a quote the other day. It said, if you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time. And someone said, well, that's easy for you to say. I have to work hard at my career. And I said, listen, doing what you love does not pre-qualify that you don't work hard. It means you're going to work 10 times harder than any human being on the planet at it because you're passionate about it. You love it. And you would do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what's doing what you love means. So what do you love? What are you good at? Or what are you willing to get good at? A lot that qualifies on both lists. Third question, what does the world need? That's the other part. And if you love to do it and you're really good at it, but no one cares, you certainly can't use it as your business because no one cares. You're going to get your 2 views, grandma and mom, to support you on YouTube, but that's it. Yeah. So what does the world need? And if you can say, hey, the world needs this and I'm good at it and I love to do it, oh man, you've got a good thing going. The final part is, can you be paid for it? Can you charge for it? And if you answer yes to all those questions, I love it. I would do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what. Even if I never made a penny from it, I just love it that much. Number 2, I'm good at it. I work really, really, really hard at constantly refining my craft like you do with sales and communication. You're amazing at that. And you refine it so much and so well that you're talented at it. You're really good. Number 3, it's what the world needs. They need more of me out there doing this. They need it. And 3, they're willing to freaking pay for it. They're willing to trade me some of their value for my value, and boom. If you find that, that'd be the very first question to start with in 2017 is, what's your reason for being? And it's the combination of those 4. Now, when you start with that, now you know why you're here. What's the ultimate reason and purpose behind everything you're going to do? So we're starting really broad and big. Now, from there, zoom in a little. Okay, if that's the ultimate reason for being, what vehicles are you going to use this year or the next 10 years of your life in order to be congruent with that reason for being? And if you're thinking your 10-year vision for life, what vehicles? Now, vehicles can be jobs, they can be projects, they can be stuff you're going to accomplish, they can be goals you're going to reach. These are all vehicles to allow you to be in congruence with your reason for being. So you map out the 10 years and say 10 years from my reason for being. And for us, it's helping people become the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled version of yourself. That's our Gikage. That's our reason to be. It's helping people challenge the status quo, illuminate the true potential in each and every person that crosses paths with us or our message. We want to be an omnipresent business that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, someone on our team in some way, shape, or form is positively impacting another human being's life. So when we look at our reason for being, we say, okay, what vehicles allow us to be congruent with that over the next 10 years? As we say, wow, we're going to, use every vehicle available, whether it's YouTube or podcasting or books we're going to write, seminars we're going to give, trainings we're going to do, coaching we're going to do. These are all vehicles that allow that message to go out to the world and transform people's lives and businesses and make that possible. So from there, what are the actual tangible outcomes and results 10 years out you want to achieve? We want to have 10 businesses that are producing $100 million a year, helping people become the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled version of themselves. That's a 10-year goal. So, okay, great. Now I work backwards. 5 years from now, where do I want to be? Well, I want at least 3 of those. I believe in, growth curve. So right now we have 2. Now we need 3 in the next 5 years doing well. And eventually it'll pick up speed and we'll be able to pick up more quicker towards the end as the curve hits. So that thought process. I want multiple businesses doing this. So 5 years from now, what do we need to be at? What are the tangible goals and results we're aiming for? Great. 2 years from now, where do we need to be? 1 year from now. Now, this is this year, 2017. Where do we need to be this year to make that possible? What metrics, what numbers, what accountability, results, tangible things are we going to need to achieve this year to make that happen? Now, from there, this quarter, all 4 quarters, from there, all the way down to this month, all the way down to this week. What has to be accomplished this week that is going to add up to our ultimate reason for being?
And it comes down to right now, right? You get to do a podcast, inspire some people out there and live your dream and live your passion through doing that.
Exactly. So this is us using this moment to reflect our ultimate reason for being.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
It's that connection, though, in your mind. Because if I weren't to connect those dots and wake up and say, okay, why am I doing a podcast? Because I'm trying to spread a message to multiple people on a platform to hopefully help them in some way, shape, or form. Now, as exciting as that is for the moment, it doesn't feel deep or meaningful or impactful in any way. But if I were to say, listen, this moment right now is a beautiful way to connect with the divine in me, in you, and in everyone who's going to tune in. What a beautiful way to connect with that divine light of life. And in doing so, it's a reflection of our literal purpose for being, not only now, but this is going to help us on our 20-year vision and mission for all of who we are and what we plan to do.
I love that.
That's a totally different experience of life.
No, you're not kidding. Real quick, I do the podcast. I think I started last January was my first episode, so I'm coming into almost a year now. And I remember people saying, well, why are you doing a podcast? Like, it seems like it's a waste of time. But because I've done this now, some of the relationships that I've created are just amazing. I would have never had those relationships. And because of that, some of the doors that have opened and some of the opportunities, and I'm not even, it's not like I'm getting paid to do this podcast, but it's got me speaking events, right? I get emails on a regular basis, people saying, oh, thank you for this interview. That was amazing because I heard, you know what I mean? So it's everything you're saying, Jairek. But it starts off by just right now being present in doing something that I am passionate about and just going all in on it.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. What's your biggest challenge right now?
The truth is, I just had my wisdom teeth out last week. So as passionate and as excited as I am, my mouth and jaw is a little sore.
Oh, there you go. That's great.
I have 4 caves in my mouth, thanks to our dentist, which I do love. If you're looking for an amazing dentist, Spodek Dentistry in Delray, Florida. He was amazing.
There you go.
At the same time, though, a little sore. So it's a bit of a challenge right this moment. We're considering hopping on one of those random jets out to somewhere snowy to go snowboarding, but I'm kind of concerned that the cold might not bear well with my holes in my jaw.
Well, there's always Vermont, my friend. And if you go to Vermont, we'd have to meet you up there or something.
Nice. So I'll throw that under hashtag quality problems in life right now. The thing we're most excited about, though, is we have a brand new program we've worked the last year and a half on building. And we're really excited to go out and find more people who have this same passion that you have and I have of really transforming and bettering people's lives and helping them tap into the best version of who they are and maximizing their personal and professional performance. And we're currently enrolling and training people on how to become performance coaches, just like I am, and you are to an extent with your team, and help them maximize the results of everyone around them. And like I said, our goal is to become omnipresent. So we want someone that we've trained 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, making a powerful, positive impact in someone's life somewhere on earth, because we know that we were able to train them and give them the capacity to go and do so. So that's what we're aiming for.
What do you mean when you say omnipresent, by the way? What does that mean?
Omnipresent, everywhere, all the time.
Everywhere, all the time.
And so we're looking to be a company that's literally everywhere all the time, because we've taken our tools and we've empowered other people with them so that we can literally be everywhere all the time.
What's the essence of that, though? Like, what is that? Like, people know your name, or what is it? How, like, what is that?
It's just the difference. So when people ask us all the time, whenever we go places, they're like, hey, how's business? Are you guys successful? Like, does it work? And my wife and I tease people all the time. We'll go places and they're like, well, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're bloggers. And they're like, you can get paid for that? I'm like, yeah, we fly on private jets. We have a couple houses. We drive a Porsche. Like, we have a great lifestyle. And they always laugh. They're like, really? Doing that? I'm like, well, we do other things too. So we tease them a little just to catch them off guard. But if all that stuff is just a reflection of, hey, it's how we want to live life, and we have the capacity to do so by using this vehicle of going out there and reaching people. And the main goal, I started off in the nonprofit space. So my thought is I just wanted to help everybody. And through volunteering and through donating and stuff like that, at the same time, I realized at some point, volunteering and donating, those people don't get to have a very extravagant lifestyle. And I was like, I also kind of want to have a badass lifestyle. I get to do cool stuff and experience the most out of life and squeeze the juice of what's possible. And nowadays on Instagram, you get to see, the highlights of everyone's reel of what they're doing. And I'm like, dang, I want to do some of that stuff. Like I heard about an exotic car racing program. I think it's in the snow and ice. And they put these special tires that have these little spikes on them. And you literally race like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Porsches in the snow through these dug out paths on the ice, and you're literally over a sheet of ice racing these cars at hundreds of miles an hour. And literally when you fly off the track, you just get buried in snow and they come and drag you back out to the track and let you keep going.
Wow. And
I'm like, wow, I want to do that. And I looked it up. It's like $10,000 a person. I'm like, okay, well, I got to work a little harder, like spend 10 grand for a few hours. and so that thought process came into mind of there's experiences in life I want to have for myself and for my family and for my friends and with these people. And to be able to access those experiences, there's a price point that goes with it. And to be able to get to that price point, I have to produce a business and I have to work hard. And so my thought, when I looked at the coaching space, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. It's a space that I can focus all my time on helping people have a better life. I can focus all the things I'm passionate about of serving and helping and providing and creating strategies and tools and systems and approaches to help people maximize all of what they're capable of. And in doing that, it can provide a lucrative opportunity to provide an amazing lifestyle with it. How cool. The cherry on top was it could be done from anywhere on earth, a laptop, a cell phone, and the internet, and boom. You can run the coaching practice. And I was like, wow, how cool. And so that was something that really sparked me into this space and has allowed me to grow. But I've been doing it now for almost 14 years. So, we have a track record and a long time and amazing clients we have the privilege of working with and have worked with in the past. And it's given us the ability to really experience the best of both worlds. We're 100% focused on helping and serving others and still having this amazing lifestyle as part of it.
Okay, my friend. Well, I know you're going to continue doing that. So final question, my friend, is on my listeners' path to mastery. What is the one thing that you want them to take from this interview today?
It's our core message of everything we stand for. When you really figure out what you want, when you figure out your reason for being, and you figure out what your goals are, the first thing I'd implore you and ask you to go do is, number one, figure out what it takes. Go and learn it. Learn what it takes to actually achieve those results you desire and deserve. Read the books, go to the courses, find the mentors, figure out what it actually takes. YouTube at it until you figure it out. Number two, live it. I implore you and I challenge you to really live everything you learn. Apply it fully and ferociously. Apply it to the fullest extent possible in all your capacity as a human being, and allow yourself to really experience the results yourself that you desire and deserve. From there, once you've achieved that peak and once you've hit those results and accomplished what you want to accomplish, I really then urge you and beg of you and hope of you that you then find a way to give it, which is pay it forward. Take a moment to figure out what was your strategy, what was your approach, what was your unique way of going about it that allowed you to perform at this level and achieve these kind of results, and find a way to pay that forward and help others do the same. And so the concept is learn it, live it, give it.
Love it. Learn it, live it, give it. And one thing I'm going to just make point on is that with the learn it thing, and you talked about finding mentors and finding other people that have done it before you. And I'm sharing this for all my listeners because one of the biggest mistakes that I have made with my teams, that one of the things I learned last year, because I just had a whole team fall apart, is I don't know that I set the right expectations. And you tell me if I'm right or wrong, Jairek, here, but setting the expectations, I mean letting somebody know that, showing up is showing up 100%, going all in, especially when you're newer in a business, the amount of work that it's going to take to be successful. And I think I was maybe underselling people on, hey, you can just show up, you can take weekends off, you can do this, you can do that. But I don't think you can do that in the beginning. So the commitment, and I know I just kind of threw a loop in there, but I'd love to get your take on that. Like the amount of hard work people need to put in order to achieve success, especially in the beginning. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. When I posted, again, going back to that whole comment piece, when I posted that photo that said, if you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time. And the lady writes back, well, excuse us for those of us who have to work hard to feed a family. And I always scratch my head. The illusion that hard work somewhere disappears along the journey is only an illusion. hard work is the process. It's just, are you working hard at something you love, and therefore you're willing to put in the work, the sacrifice, the hours, the time, the effort, the energy? I mean, the illusion people have is, I'm going to work so hard and I'm going to save my money and I'm going to invest it, and someday I'm going to have millions of dollars in the bank and I'm going to have huge passive income and I'm just going to sit on the beach and do nothing. And that is the ultimate success. Now, I apologize. I'm going to try not to cuss in this, but you're lying to yourself, because the God honest truth in that situation is, I tried my best. It just I couldn't keep the words in. I apologize.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you're delusional in that moment, because what happens is those people call me and I become their coach when they're bored out of their freaking minds with $100 million in the bank, with $40 million of assets, with $100,000 of passive income coming in every single month. And they're bored out of their flipping minds because they don't know what the hell to do with themselves. And so people think that's the ultimate win. And the truth is, the guy I'm coaching who's in that exact position, he thought it was the ultimate victory too. And he was damn proud of it when he got there. And I would never, never, ever, ever tell you not to go get it. Do it. Why not? If it's possible and you can go get your $100 million net worth or $1 billion net worth with tons of passive income and, more money than you ever know what to do, and you figure out how to give it away fast enough and all that other jazz, please go do it. The world needs more of that, so you can give it away and help other people who are in need and help surprise them and support them. Here's the God honest truth, though. What that man is missing is the piece we talked about today, his reason for being. The part that he loves to do, that he's good at, that the world needs, and that he can get paid for. And he doesn't have to charge for it. It's just saying that they're willing to pay for it because they find it valuable too. His reason for being is the part that's missing. And the moment he finds that, which I've helped him to do, all of a sudden, he's happy. He's purpose-filled. He's living a life every day that's meaningful and has depth and reason and purpose behind it. And every day when he's out there making a difference in the world, his spirit and soul is fulfilled. And that has nothing to do. People say, oh, it's because he's rich and he has all this stuff and he has all this money and he doesn't have to work. That's why he has it. No, he thought that was it too. But when he got there, he realized it ain't it. And what he figured out was the reason for being was the it he was looking for. So yes, I would say step one, be willing to work hard always. Step two, find that reason for being, or the other way around if you ever want to do it, but find that reason for being so that as you're on your journey to make your millions and billions and trillions and whatever you're after, or feed millions of people, or provide houses and education for the ones you love, or to provide an amazing home and experience for your family, or to just reach your damn goal. I don't know what you're up to, but whatever you're focused on, either I would implore you as fast as humanly possible. I challenge you. I call upon you. I ask of you, find that reason for being and tie it into what you're doing that you call your profession to make sure that you get to be fulfilled every step of the journey. And at that point, hard work, you'll love it so much, it won't ever feel like hard work. And you'll probably work 10 times harder than every other person around you because you love it that much.
Man, I'll tell you, I could go on with this all day. I think we ended the episode 10 minutes ago. This is great stuff. I'll tell you what. A lot of people, Jairek, they want to be Jairek. They see you on stage, they hear you, they see what you're doing, they say, I want to do that, and I'm gonna do that in 2 years. Or like even your dad's an example. Like, people see Tony, I'm gonna be Tony Robbins. Well, they don't realize that the amount of time you guys put in to get where you are. And I don't think a lot of people, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people, they're not willing to put in the time to actually make that happen, to create that. And everybody's looking for the shortcut these days. And there's no shortcut. I mean, that's really what it's all about. There's no shortcut that I've seen. So some days it's a showing up, it's just grinding. Other days it's a showing up and you got a great smile on your face, but it's just about showing up.
Exactly. And if you do it every day and you love the process and you're good at it and the world needs it, you're going to be in a magical, magical place that entire journey.
Love it, my friend. Hey, you rock. Thank you. How do our listeners get in touch with you?
Just Google me, Jairek Robbins. If you Google me, it'll tell you everything you need to know. Join us on Facebook live chats. Join us on Instagram. If you're interested in that performance coach training, check out performancecoachuniversity.com. And that's it. I'm everywhere. That's the goal. Not me, but at least our message is trying to reach people all the time, everywhere, at all points.
You are everywhere, my friend. Hey, I so appreciate you, and have a phenomenal rest of your day. Thanks for your time, man.
You too, man.
If you're anything like me and you love podcasts, I guarantee you're going to love audiobooks. And audible.com is the largest resource of audiobooks. I'm super excited about my partnership with audible.com, where I can offer you a free audiobook. All you have to do is simply go to www.davidsfreebook.com and sign up, and you get yourself a free book. Yes, absolutely free, never charged, no membership. If you love the service, then obviously continue using it, but this is completely free. Again, www.davidsfreebook.com. Get yourself a free audiobook and enjoy.
You are listening to One More Sale with your host, David I. Hill, author of The Sales Playbook. Get your copy at www.thesalesplaybook.net.